Hi, I'm Rupa Shah. I'm an influencer marketing regulatory consultant, and today I'll be explaining a little bit about the ASA, that's the Advertising Standards Authority in the UK. So what do we need to know about? Well, from an influencer marketing perspective, from a vlogger or a blogger perspective, you're probably most interested in what to do if you receive an ASA complaint. But I think first it helps to understand a little bit about the structure of the ASA and how they operate in the UK. So the ASA is a self-regulatory organisation, and that means it's an organisation that essentially governs itself, which might sound a bit strange. So how can an organisation govern its own itself or its own industry? Well, the ASA is formed of various industry marketing groups that have come together to ensure that the industry abides by a basic set of rules, and this is called the CAP Code. And the CAP Code contains various sections on, for example, alcohol, marketing to children, social responsibility, that type of thing. And it's a sort of set of rules that's been drawn up, as I said, by the industry itself to make sure that the industry doesn't bring itself into disrepute. So is there a separate section on influencer marketing? Well, there isn't. So what do you need to know about if that's what your area of expertise is? Well, you need to know the whole code essentially, because you could be effectively marketing to children, or you might be inadvertently potentially featuring alcohol in your ads. So it's important you know about the entirety of the code. But the biggest thing that obviously comes up most is about disclosure. And the ASA has been very keen to make sure that influencer marketers are disclosing correctly. So how does the ASA do this? Well, it's mostly a reactive organisation. So as you know, it will investigate complaints about influencer marketing. So if you're a blogger and somebody complains to you, to the ASA, what would happen? Well, the investigative process can take a couple of forms. A full formal investigation means that the ASA will contact you, ask for more information about whatever the breach is, and they'll explain what the complaint is. They'll investigate it fully. So an executive will write to you and tell you that they've produced a recommendation. It might be that the complaint is upheld or not upheld. They'll pass it to the ASA Council, who are like a jury of industry and non-industry members who understand advertising, and who'll make a decision as to whether that complaint should be upheld or not. Once that's finished, they'll publish a ruling on the ASA website, and then potentially that ruling could become widespread news depending on how interesting the media find it. Not all complaints are investigated in this way. In fact, quite a few aren't investigated in that way because it would take a lot of time essentially for the ASA to look at every complaint that fully. So the more likely course of action is the ASA would contact you, and if you have breached the code, for example, you haven't included an ad disclaimer or a clear ad disclaimer, they'll ask you to change your ad, change your post, and make sure that you don't do it again, and you would need to just sign an agreement to say that you would do that. It's resolved very quickly. The complainant will be told that that's what's happened, and that would be the end of the matter. So it wouldn't be published on the ASA website, and it potentially, well, a very brief description of potentially your name and the brand name might go on there, but not much more information than that. So it's a quicker route, and it's actually the route that the ASA will take with more cases. And actually, if they think that the complaint is completely spurious or there is really nothing to answer, they won't investigate at all. So, a good proportion of complaints are actually treated this way. You won't actually know about them at all because they're just dismissed very quickly. How does the ASA enforce the rulings that the ones that are upheld and go right up on its website? Well, it has a sister body called CAP, and that's a whole video in itself. I'm not going to go into the full details of CAP now, but I will explain a bit more about them because as a blogger, or if you're into influencer marketing, you will have heard of CAP because they also issue guidance. So I'll explain a little bit more about them later, and I will also explain about the CMA because the Competition and Markets Authority have also issued guidance, and these are another body in the UK that you need to be aware of. So so look out for a video on the CMA and just the interaction of how you need to apply those rules as well as the ASA rules, and potentially one on the FTC, because I think we've all heard about their rules, and actually there are some things you might need to be aware of, particularly if you're marketing targets or appeals particularly to people in the USA. So this was just a quick rundown of how the ASA investigate complaints and how they operate in the UK, but more videos to follow, so keep an eye out for those.